All right, so it's becoming pretty clear that a winter storm is going to be making its way into the Great Lakes region. Now, the question is, who is going to see the most snow, and where is the track of that system going to come? In this video, I'm going to talk about the possible tracks we still have with the system, as well as the potential for an Arctic blast following this accumulating snowfall, and then also the potential for lake effect snow. 10:45 a.m. January 4th. Welcome to another update from Great Lakes Weather, and winter is finally here. It has been a long stretch of nasty, gloomy weather across the Great Lakes region with a lot of fog, a lot of drizzle, and all that stuff. Now we are getting into some winter action, okay? We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about the upcoming winter storm that looks like it's going to be targeting all of the Great Lakes region, Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio included. And then we're also going to talk about what is to come following that, because I'm seeing a hint of potential for some Arctic air to make its way into the Great Lakes region. And we're going to get right into all of that right now. We're going to start here with the Weather Prediction Center and what they are projecting for this upcoming setup for winter weather. And you can see that they are forecasting the highest probability of snow greater than 2.5 inches to be across northern Michigan, especially if you are in the, Grayling, Gaylord area. That's a place that's looking like it could see quite a bit of snow. All right. But I will say that the potential might increase farther to the south as well. Why do I say that? Well, again, one thing that we're still watching is the track of this low. We're 5 days out still, so there's still a lot to be determined with this setup. But I do think that there could be the potential for snow greater than 4 inches in this region as well, greater than 2.5 inches as well, okay? Why are they on a low probability scale? Well, keep in mind that there's still 5 days out. That forecast confidence is still not very high with regards to the track of this low. It could be multiple different places, okay? If it tracks further to the south, which is a possibility, okay, we could see more snow in parts of lower Michigan. If it tracks further to the north, then this area could see more rain. So there's still a lot to be trimmed out, but I do think somewhere in the Great Lakes region, including the Upper Peninsula, could be impacted by this system, okay? And it's pretty high confidence in that, all right? So let's get to the models and get an idea of roughly what is going to happen with this setup, okay? So you see GFS model here. This resource is accessible to anyone. You can get to it yourself, pivotalweather.com. I pay for it, but you can get a little bit more stuff out of it. But you can still see, first of all, this system that is making its way across the eastern United States, that is one that could bring a little bit of snow to the Great Lakes region. I don't think there's going to be too much snow with that. No more than 2 inches for a lot of places that see snow in the Great Lakes region from that. But again, they've been talking about this system for quite a while. That's going to be moving its way off to the northeast, and you do have that potential for greater than 4 inches of snow, especially towards portions of the eastern New England states. That's something to be watching out for out in that region. But one thing we're watching here is the low that is forming right here as we get into Monday of next week. And I'm going to freeze frame it right on this spot so I can do a little bit of a friendly drawing about how this could potentially set up, okay? So what we have here is we have this low pressure system over Texas. We call this sometimes a panhandle hook. And what you're going to see is that this low is going to track, if I can actually clear this off for a second, this low is going to start to track down to the south and then lift off to the north. Now there's a few possible modes that this track could take, okay? And I'm going to go over 3 possible tracks that could influence the potential for snow. So you see, low pressure system here. One track it could take is going right up this way, okay? Cutting right through Michigan. Now, if it does that, here's what's going to happen, okay? We're not going to see as much snow far to the south, and in fact, the confidence that the National Weather Service is putting out for snow in this area would be right on tap with what that low would do, okay? So that is one possible track with this system, okay? Snow would be on the northwest side of the system. Again, you have that air being pulled from the northwestern side down into the Great Lakes region that is allowing for that cooler snowfall, or that cooler air and that snowfall to occur. And then on the southern side, you will have that rainfall, okay? So that rainfall is going to be making its way on the southeastern side. And then also, interestingly enough, this low is going to be quite strong. Could have some severe weather on the southern side of this, in this region, making its way off to the east. Could organize into a nice line. And so that's something to be watching out for in that southern area. But I do think The snow is going to be on the northwestern side, maybe the northern side. Some places along the northeastern side could have a bit of snow as well before that low really makes its way through. Wind gusts exceeding 30 miles an hour could be possible with this system too. You'll notice that this low will deepen as we progress. But here is another possible mode of travel with this system. And this is the model that GFS just put out. It's going to dip down towards Arkansas and then surge its way up into this direction. Now, if this happens, I think there's going to be a bit more impactful snowfall. Okay, because again, you're going to have a lot more time for this portion, the northwestern side of this, to see more snowfall right along this region. Now, there's the question is, this area right here might see a bit more rainfall, but I think the snowfall potential could increase for this general area if this low does take this track, and you'll kind of see that in the models as well. And then a possible mode, which is becoming less likely at this point, is that this low doesn't follow any of those models, and it goes up farther to the north. And I think that's probably not going to happen in this case. I think it is going to start to impact this portion of the Great Lakes region, depending on where that still does remain the question. Let's see what the GFS is currently putting out with this setup. So let's progress it a little bit forward. Uh-oh, my thing's still generating here. There we go. Progressing it forward, you can see that in the southeastern side of the southern side of Indiana, might get some snow. Again, following that track I showed you, the second track that I showed you. And again, this is probably going to change. This is not the ensemble. This is kind of a mean of all the ensembles that are put together. This is kind of just a model to show you what could happen. And again, there's that severe weather line I was talking about that could form with this deepening low as it progresses to the east. And that snow is starting to impact much of northern Ohio, northern Indiana at this point, getting into southern Michigan. And that low is following that secondary track, moving its way up to the northeast. Okay, you can kind of see that. And that heavy snow following on the northern and western side, just as it's supposed to. And as that low deepens, you can see that wind starts to pick up as well. So that 982 millibars, that's a deepening low at that current point. And then that, oops, back it up, whoop. And you have that snow that makes its way across much of Ohio as well. Could even see a bit of snow on the backside of this before finally moving out. Okay, that low is going to move out quickly, and then it's going to start to restabilize as it gets out towards portions of the eastern United States. So let's freeze frame it on the backside of this system. Okay, so we're going to freeze frame it at hour 165 or 168 is fine too. And let's take a look at the possibility of where these snow accumulations could occur. I'm not going to go into snow totals just yet, okay, but you can see that the focus has changed recently on the GFS model. And I'm going to compare it to the Euro. The Euro is a little bit different. But you can see the focus band of heaviest snow appears to be northeastern Indiana and southeastern Michigan. Might shift a little bit farther to the north at this point. Could shift even as far north as what the Weather Prediction Center is projecting as well. But there's still a few possible fail modes with this setup. Could be to the north, could be to the south, as I said before. Now, let's focus on the Euro and get what its view on things. Now, this is a previous model run. This is not the most current model run because the most current model run doesn't go far enough out to see. But you do have that system that is being projected across the New England states once again. And then you have this setup, which again, it's sort of following suit with the GFS as well, in that you have that snow that is occurring across much of southern Michigan. It does show that this side will be much warmer with this setup in Indiana and Ohio, so it does look like there will be less snow in Indiana and Ohio according to the Euro, but it also shows a much deeper low, the deepening low of 969 millibars, which could increase the wind gusts. And if you look at the wind gusts on this model, you can see wind gusts on the backside, especially along the lakeshore, of 40 miles an hour, 20 to 30 miles an hour. These are the wind gusts again that could possibly occur with this system. You do see some strong winds on the backside of this, on the front end of this as well. I think that could be a little bit overstretched, but again, it is possible that we could see some pretty decent wind gusts from this system. So that's that snowstorm that you see there. Much deeper low than what the GFS is projecting, but still quite impactful according to what the model is currently showing. Now, I do want to freeze frame it here to give you what the snow accumulations are showing for this model. So here we go. That is severe weather. I'm looking for the winter weather map here. You can see that it's a bit more widespread, and it is a little bit farther to the northwest. It looks like the places such as southwestern Michigan, northern Michigan have that higher chance of snowfall. And I think the Euro usually does a better job with these snowfall events. It's usually a better model to trust than the GFS. We'll have to see if the Euro decides to cave the GFS or if the GFS decides to cave the Euro. But there's still some model differences here, and something to keep an eye on with this setup. But I do want to get to what we are expecting in a little bit onward as well. Because, oops, I'm losing my track here. What were we expecting later on? So, if you get to the precipitation type, computer's running a little bit slow today. Progress it forward here. We get that system moving through, okay, and it'll progress and move off to the northeast. Our first batch of snow. Another low might make its way in that could produce a little bit more snow for the Great Lakes region. Still some things to be trimmed down about this. One thing I'm watching, though, is this next system. It's showing some warmer air on the back side of it, so that's something to just watch out for. But on the backs, behind the low, you do see that it deepens a little bit, but there is some cold air that makes its way from this moving in low that moves into the Great Lakes region and moves off to the north. Now, this one I think will bring some cold air. Then also some lake effect snow on the backside as well. That could be some widespread lake effect snow as we get to that cooler temperatures. Okay, you have a low level dendritic growth zone, and you have cooling air aloft and drying out air above as well. That could contribute to the lake effect snow threat as we get into mid-January. Now, I want to show you the temperatures and wind chills that could be coming in with this. You do see wind chills are getting down into the single digits. Wind chills farther to the west are getting into the sub-zero levels. And then also wind chills later on for us could also reach sub-zero levels as well. So we're getting into that polar air. Again, I've talked about in my previous video the oscillations and how that impacts the arrival of cold air across the United States. And I think that is what is going to be the case as we get into mid-January. So keep that in mind. We're focusing on that winter storm on Tuesday, but it's just something to keep in mind for the later stretch. There is something on its way, so it's just something to watch out for. And the Climate Prediction Center is hitting on this as well. You see that there's an even chance, according to this, that there could be an even chance of above average or below average temperatures, and then you have that much below average setup out in this region as well. So that's just something that is currently being shown by the Climate Prediction Center. So that's just something to keep in mind, that there could be some decent temperature changes over the next couple of weeks. That's all I wanted to show you. Want to show you that winter storm. Want to show you the upcoming setup for cold air and lake effect snow, and that upcoming winter storm that we'll be watching as well. Make sure to subscribe. There's a lot going on in the weather, and it is likely that I'll be storm chasing come next week on Tuesday. Gonna have to be careful though. It's gonna be rather snowy, rather impactful, but my car handles pretty well. So just make sure to find a good weather source, stay updated, and I'll try to provide updates as I can. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.